At Rimini Street, in my role as Global Sales Effectiveness, I'm responsible for helping our sales team really be as productive as possible. And sometimes that's difficult because there's a lot coming at them, a lot that they have to do. And they're overwhelmed with the amount of information, and at the same time, our industry's changing, our customers are facing a lot of change as well. And that means that we have to continually kind of package up things and deliver it in bite-sized chunks and empower them whenever way is possible. Now, I took on this role in January, and when I took it on, we also had a growth projection of 40%. And that meant that we were going to be hiring significantly and ramping up all those new people and getting them on board with the 12 products that we represent was going to be really difficult. So we had to look at how are we doing it and can we do it in a better way. And we started looking at what was working, what wasn't working. Lead conversion was our biggest challenge. We were getting only about 2 out of 10 first calls to move to proposal stage. That was a problem because obviously, your pipeline is what drives your ultimate revenue, right? So when we looked at what could we do differently, a lot of it came around sales training. What could we do in the way of, empowering them more with either different messaging or different content, or as a combination of things. We were like every other company out there that had a, 60, 100-page corporate deck that they could pull from and do whatever it was that they needed to for that specific customer. But in reality, it wasn't working. It wasn't hitting the mark. When the reps, and we started to grow and, train them, and they weren't really they didn't master that content as well as some of the prior reps or executives, right? We had to adapt the messaging and maybe even give them more anchors around what they're used to doing, which is presentations, to give them tools to be able to really get the message across in a good way, right? The challenge with that is then they started presenting and not having conversations, and the coffee talk went away. And we really liked the part of the visual of the PowerPoint because that really did help concrete for the client what we were trying to communicate. But the presentation style just didn't leave a lot of good discovery. So at the end of the day, when we found power messaging, or really corporate visions, and learned about power messaging, it was a perfect fit for what we needed because it took us back to the coffee talk days of really kind of sitting across, learning, hearing what they're asking for, or where their pain points are. And actually the big shift now for us is leading with insights and not just coming in and doing the discovery, hey, 20 questions that annoys every customer, right? In executing the power messaging or power positioning to start and then rolling out the power messaging training, it's been absolutely fantastic. The executive team embraced it right away, which was fantastic. I mean, I think the coaching from the corporate vision teams to make sure that you have, the decider, somebody who really is going to be able to sell this and make some good decisions on the fly when you're in the power positioning workshop was critical. And at the same time, the coaching to not let that person overtake the room and the conversation and stifle the discussion was important too, because he did come in with the right mindset. And at the same time, because he was there and he helped build it, and we came out with some just amazing stuff. Everybody in the room, which were all leaders within different parts of the organization, were really critical. Now, I was fortunate that I had a few sales leaders, I had a few marketing executives, I had the head of our president of our organization, some technical people, so a good variety of people. But what's interesting is when I was looking at how we're going to roll this out from a power messaging perspective, I was initially thinking just the sales team. They're the ones that have to execute on this, right? It wasn't until probably 2 or 3 weeks into the planning phase that we realized we're going to miss the mark if we don't have marketing engaged. And we hadn't even planned for sales development either. That's another organization. They're not even part of the sales team. So thank goodness, before we even started executing, we rolled in some additional classes for the marketing team and for the sales development team specifically, and we tailored them to those two teams as well, so that they were a part of that process. And then the CMO has been so excited about this and really a shift and how it's really gonna influence how we go to market and how we build collateral and all that kind of stuff, that he has put his team through certifications, just like we're doing on the sales team. And he's not deviating from the classic. You've got to do the whole point of view, and you've got to do the whole, why you solution whiteboard. So he's making them go through the same thing, which is ingraining in them what it takes to do this successfully, so that they can then really be nimble when they're having to build messaging or talk to analysts about what we do, or customers, right? So in executing the corporate vision's kind of strategy around the conversation system, right? It's been dramatic in the way that we approach our customers. I had mentioned before that, prior to corporate visions, we actually had moved to more of a PowerPoint approach, and it really was not very engaging, wasn't very compelling. And also, our customers were curious about what we did, and it might have sounded like a really great idea, something that, yeah, we should really do that. But we didn't understand the power of the pain threshold, and that they needed to have 3x the pain to really even feel the desire to go change. We were trying to make them feel good about the upside, and not really getting them to look at, do you realize what you're doing here? Or what the possibilities of if you stay in the status quo, what's ultimately going to happen with you, or downstream, what you could be doing if you changed and if you shifted. That has been a complete change, because now the customers are really, the curiosity's peaked. They're like, wow, great insight. They're thinking, I want to know more. And the fact that we now have a higher level conversation than just the more product-oriented conversation is dramatically different.